Okay, so how's it going, everyone? It's been 4 months ever since I've made one of these, and damn, time flies. It's oh shit, what happened? Okay, it's too loud. It's almost crazy how fast time flies. I mean, just looking back to the first video I made, which was like 4 months ago, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, within those 4 months, so much have happened in a way. And one of the biggest things I want to touch on or talk about is mental health. And I think mental health is, for me, I feel like that's it's like the things that we eat. We don't really know the effect of it after long term. Kind of, kind of like smoking. I mean, smoking is more kind of like it's bad, but the point I'm trying to get across here is you smoke the first cigarette, nothing happens, right? I mean, you gotta keep smoking a cigarette after years and after years and after years, and that's when we actually gotta see some kind of difference, the damage from smoking. And mental health, I feel like for me, it's kind of like the same way. It's underneath the surface, like nobody can see it, even ourselves can really recognize it. Like depression or even things that are psychologically affecting us on a level that like it's out of the range of awareness, to put it that way. And what I mean is, over this past couple months, I've been through some rough patches, dark times, if you will. And it's these dark times, I feel like being able to pull out of those dark times, I feel like that's like, it's kind of like the saying that you don't know you're in a tunnel unless you're out of it. Not like you entered it, but it's kind of like you've just been put in there. Like, how do you know where you are if you cannot look at it from a different perspective, kind of thing? If I was just, placed inside a tunnel, like blindfolded and put inside a tunnel, and with no clue whatsoever, I had no idea how I got there, and no idea whatsoever, and I lived like that for years, and all of a sudden, your curiosity kind of brings you one direction or another, and all of a sudden, you begin to realize that, oh, I've been living inside a tunnel the whole time, or a cave, or whatever that is, and that's what it feels like mental health is for me. It's so subtle, and it's so like we can't even bring awareness to it, unless we start to question it, like, am I crazy or what's happening with me? And just kind of like bring some light into what have happened over the past couple months is or the journey I've been through over the past 4 months, actually, which is pretty insane. Just looking at the first YouTube video here, it has been 4 months ever since I made the first video. Is that one, I realized that my gut wasn't in very good health because I started bloating. And just kind of like small ideas, kind of thought about like, oh, what if I have a bad gut? What if I can't digest things? And I started looking at my stools, and I was like, okay, I'm not digesting properly because my stool is not proper. So that journey went on, and I found probiotics, and probiotics, like pills that you take that has like 150 million BFU, or no, like living culture. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a high rating of living probiotics. Why is it so hard to describe this? But probiotics, basically, like, sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented food, kombucha, and all that. So I went on that journey for a while. During that journey, I discovered bone broth, and that's been something consistently that's been going on. And okay, so I kind of the whole idea with mental health and this gut is all tied together. So I just want to point out some of the things that I feel like affect our mental health on a large extent that we don't really think about is what's happening inside of our body. And first and foremost is food, but I'll get to that. So I started healing my gut through bone broth and eating more vegetables and not processed food. So no more bread, bread, pasta, or anything processed for that matter. Carby stuff. I cut out on a lot of carbs. Stay with a lot of fat and protein. It kind of sounds like keto, but I wasn't like on a restrictive diet when it came to eating healthy or healing my gut. Just maintain a high amount of vegetables and made sure I drank a lot of bone broth and probiotics. So after all that and a lot of downtimes, I felt like I was almost going crazy because every day was like no motivation. Woke up, didn't feel like doing anything, had no goal whatsoever. Where's the floor shaking? Jesus. There's no sense of direction every day when I wake up. There's no, just wake up and there's nothing. And there's even times where I wonder, like, man, like, what's the point? It got really dark at times, and it's so like crippling. It's almost like if you hold, like, I don't know where this came from, but when you hold a cup of water, it's not heavy. But then if you hold it for 2 hours, it starts to get heavier. And, if you hold it for a week or a year, it starts to get heavier. And obviously your arms start to break and shake. And that's what it kind of feels like, one event after another. It kind of adds on top of another. It gets heavier and heavier. But after, like, trying to heal my gut during the whole process, these things, like the heaviness just felt like as my gut was being healed, I felt like my cup was getting lighter and lighter. So I start pouring out water little by little, and all of a sudden I'm holding onto the cup, but it's nothing in it. But it's a lot lighter. It's not like it's all gone. It's still a cup there and can be filled in or spilled out at any time. But it just feels a lot lighter now. That my gut is, I feel like, I don't know if it's healed, like, I don't know for a fact, but I just know that my stomach feels a lot lighter. So going back to kind of like tie it into how the whole idea of like gut health and mental health, I feel like a lot of times what's affecting up here has to do with everything that's on the inside. Or, I mean, it's one system when you think about it. Like if the car engine, if it is something wrong with it, there's obviously something tied to the entire body of the car or the engine, everything, every component. If there's one loose bolt somewhere, over time that bolt's gonna affect another bolt, and so on and so forth. And a couple of years later, all of a sudden the engine is loose, and shakes different parts, and friction and cables get loose. It affects everything is what I'm trying to say here. And I just think it's important to recognize where the source comes from, because for me it's so hard to kind of pinpoint it, because you can't really pinpoint that, oh, my gut is bad, or my liver is bad, or my intestine is bad. how do you pinpoint that? So essentially, what this entire point here is that a lot of the stuff happened on the inside, but I kept looking on solution on the outside. Funny that one of the solution was actually on the outside, being food, but once I consume it, it all happens on the inside. So mental health, I feel like, for those who are watching and are maybe like are affected by mental health, maybe look at the food that's being consumed, because I personally believe that has a huge role in how we feel. And that's not to say that if bone broth works for me, meaning that it works for you. I've seen like Peter Robinson's daughter, she eats all meat, and she's been cured from arthritis and a lot of her depression, and all the symptoms she had was cured from just eating meat. And obviously that diet is not it doesn't work for everybody, and everybody's different, I feel like, and whatever we consume, it might not work for us. So just by looking back at my old videos, it's so weird to see it actually. I see that I made it. I see that it's been 4 months since the oldest one. So I guess today's topic is going to be about mental health and internal health. Internal health, I guess, it affects everything with the body. So we're calling this internal health is what we're going to call this. And yeah, I just hope that this will be paid more closely attention to. When I say this, I mean food, because now food is so accessible, and it's so easy to buy whatever we want. We are basically our own parents, and if you have the money and don't have the discipline, it's easy to just go and buy a burger and eat it, and whatever reason. And it's so easy to be lazy because everything is so instant and everything is so accessible. And through all this, I feel like it has a huge impact on how it shapes the way we live, the way we think, and the way we behave. So I'm not saying that I'm completely out of like depression or completely done with it, but I can for a fact say that my mental health is a lot better through this journey of healing my gut. Just to give a perspective of how long it took to kind of recognize some kind of change is about like a week and a half. I took probiotics pills that I got from the store with a really high dose of 150 billion per pill, and through that, over a course of a week and a half, I started to notice that my stomach didn't bloat as much, and I kind of proofed it just to try it out to see if I would bloat. I drank some dairy the other day, kefir, and I didn't bloat. Usually my stomach would turn into a balloon, but this time it didn't. I ate some sourdough bread, but this time nothing happened. So yeah, I'm gonna keep continuing doing this, and yeah. That's it for today.